Hey there, everybody. So there's a pretty cool idea in Chinese medicine that I think is relevant to talk about in terms of diet and how our talents express into the natural world. So when we look at this idea, the thing we want to look at is something called Jing, Qi, and Shen in Chinese medicine. They call these the three treasures. And you can think of these as essentially three strata, three energetic strata of sorts that regulate and connect to how our physiology works in terms of mind, body, and spirit. So without going too deep into the theory and getting it too complex, the Jing is the material essence. It's the foundational building blocks of life. So in men, it's stored in the testes, in women, in the ovaries. It's the sexual fluids and the sexual substances that will actually replicate life. And in Chinese medicine, you can nourish those fluids so that you have greater longevity and better health. And then you have qi. Okay, that word gets really mystified. So don't think of it as the Jedi mind trick stuff, the telekinesis that you see on some of these martial art channels. Personally, I think that's nonsense. What we're looking at is bioelectricity. We're looking at the yielded product as a result of the water, the food, and the thoughts we think. But that stuff that we take in, that produces what they call qi. It's a certain type of energy. So we can all agree that we've met people and say that person's got great energy. Some of it's constitutional. Sometimes people eat like shit and they still have a great vibe and they're lucky. But a lot of us can, say people that eat like garbage and just have a bad mindset. They're eating fast food and their energy tanks. So food has an impact on that daily energy that we see and experience in the world. And then the top of the pyramid, if you think of it like the pyramid, the big baseline, the middle tier, and then the top tier, that last triangle is Shen, or spirit, the consciousness of a person, the immaterial aspect of people that we can't quantify but that we know exists and dictates a huge piece of how we live our lives. The love we feel, the emotions that we experience have sizable impact on the direction we take our lives. So mindset matters, and so do thought and emotions. Now, the idea in Chinese medicine is this. Your digestive system, your stomach and spleen, what they call the earth element, directly ties to your constitutional strength, which sits below, and your kidneys, the water element. Okay, the kidneys house, in Chinese medicine, the source of our constitutional strength. So the energy that we get, what you could call your genetic heritage that comes down your lineage, the gifts that you get comprise and are stored in your Jing, in your kidneys, in your bones. So Chinese medicine has this idea that the constitutional strength that we've inherited from the generations before sits in this place. Now, our digestive system and this constitutional reservoir or battery that we have down below, these two things share very real common space and they reciprocate between one another. The basic idea is this. The quality of the food that we eat, okay, how good, how clean it is, how well we digest it, how well we absorb it, how much we enjoy it, that trickles down and nourishes the constitutional strength down below. So in Chinese medical theory, the food that we eat actually nourishes how our genes express, the constitutional gifts we have. In theory, the way we want to look at this is like for me personally, in my family, I inherited some genetic aptitude for art. Now, I'm not a Da Vinci, I'm not a Michelangelo, but I would say on average, my artistic skill is probably a little bit higher because my mom was an artist, as was my dad. It came down the bloodline. It's just with me. When they say it's a gift, it's quite literally been gifted. I didn't earn it. It just came in with me. So as a result, the thinking is my capacity to produce good art, okay, to be artistic. I'm going to produce better art if I'm eating good food, which yields clean energy down into my constitutional system, and then my genes and my constitutional talents are going to express better. Now, as that energy passes through our kidneys, as it passes through our Jing, okay, that energetic tier, what happens is the energy that comes back into the body is going to work its way back up through and express through everything that we do, but a portion of that energy goes right back to our digestive system. So what that means is if we're eating quality food, okay, and it's good for our body, that energy it yields is going to move back to the digestive system and nourish the digestive system, making it stronger. So it makes the furnace more intense. It makes the digestive fire stronger so that when we put food in, it actually burns better. It's more efficient. Now, the opposite is true, unfortunately. We eat bullshit. We go and we eat McDonald's. The energy that's going to produce inside the body is not going to be great. There's a lot of additives and preservatives and stressful compounds that the body has a very difficult time getting rid of. As it works down into the constitutional strength system, it's going to go through there, it's going to work its way through. And then what's expressed out is not going to be so great. Technically, in theory, in my case, my art might suffer because I'm not going to feel as good. I'm just not going to be as on point as I could be. And when that happens, that energy that is allocated back to the digestive system is going to weaken my digestive fire, meaning the furnace is not as hot anymore. I'm not going to break food down as well. And so then this is a very slippery slope, and this is like a downward spiral that catches on very quickly. But imagine this concept taken out 20 to 25 years of just eating the standard American diet of a lot of fast food and processed bullshit, and then that expressing poor constitutional expression. The constitutional gifts you have are not going to be able to be shown or made manifest into the world as good as they could be. So this is really critically important in terms of what we put into our body and how it's going to affect our genetic expression. Now, as we think about this, everyone's diet is different. Some people thrive on vegan, some people thrive on keto, paleo, carnivore. That one really threw me for a spin a couple years ago when I started researching it, but you should look into it. The amount of people that are reversing autoimmune disease and having their blood work and their inflammation markers drop so incredibly much and being very healthy. So without getting dogmatic and judging people for how they're eating, we want to think about we have to uniquely find the thumbprint or the pattern that's going to make our constitutional strength shine. And it's going to be different for everybody. You will find people who have similar diets to you, but we all need to give each other room to find this. Now, the catch behind this is, as these two systems feed one another, digestion feeds the constitutional strength feeds the digestion, and around they go. Over time, this starts to produce sort of like an engine. And when the engine is running well, and it's revving, and it's whoa, 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 and we just have this going for a period of time, it starts to produce, metaphorically, sort of like a mist or vapor that is going to slowly work its way up into consciousness, how we see the world. So what this really points to is the quality of the food that we eat and how well we allow our gifts to be nourished. Those two things, digestion and constitutional strength, sharing the same space, will yield a clearer spirit. So most of us can say that people that eat like garbage and then they make a radical shift and they clean their diet up, whether they go full carnivore, whether they go vegan or paleo or whatever they end up doing, when they do that, they end up saying, my mind is so much clearer, I feel so much better, I'm so much sharper, I have so much more mental clarity in everything that I'm doing. This is the process that we're talking about. Chinese medicine just gives a nice little framework for you to understand. So the basic idea is, let your diet be a metric. Let it be a method to actually access your constitutional strength. Some of us are gifted in different ways. Some people have really strong constitutions, and theirs is they can smoke, they can drink, they can do all these things until they're 90, eat bacon every day and never have a problem. That's their gift. They just have incredibly strong jing. Now, a lot of us don't have that, myself included. I have to watch what I eat. I have to watch how I live so my body doesn't take a beating. But I have gifts in art. Some people have amazing gifts in terms of music or singing, or they have a very industrious mind. They're very creative in terms of entrepreneurial endeavors. We all have something that we're very good at, and it behooves us to find out what that is. But the idea is, whatever you're good at, no matter how big or how small, it's going to be made better by what you eat. Your eating is going to directly affect that system, and then from there, if you do that long enough and you keep that pilot light lit and you keep the furnace going and that energy is moving well, it will translate into clarity of mind and spirit. It's really important to understand this, and this is the relationship that Chinese medicine lays out in terms of how diet nurtures talent, talent nurtures digestion, and you keep those going long enough, the Shen, or the immaterial part of a person, is going to be clear and bright. And that's what we want. We want a clear, bright spirit, because in the end, they say that the spirit is the seat of everything. All things come from spirit in the end. So without going too deep into the theory, this is just an idea that we want to think about if we're going to be looking at our diet in a different context. So hopefully this finds you well. Thanks.